Back in Kerala,
It's not a very business-friendly state. I mean, because I think there were too many intellectuals theorizing and talking about politics and state of the world in coffee shops and tea shops around the corners. And you know what? I heard that one person and 3 or 4 people in a family actually is in Middle East, sending money back home, so the other people don't have to work. So people can sit around in the chai shops commenting about life.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's part of the reason, apparently, why Kerala, where you're from, has been a very not great place for business, because people don't have to work, because they have somebody else is funding their lifestyle in a lot of ways. This is the Ocio Show with Rahul, where I have deep conversations with interesting people on topics that are meaningful, slightly personal, and perhaps controversial. Roll with this. I could do this all day. I could do this all day. Back up, I'ma run this town. I'm headed for the top, and you know it's going down. Welcome, Uday, to the Ocio Show with Rahul. I'm super excited to chat with you. We have so much to cover. So we are from the same part of the world. And you're from a little town in Kerala, in India, called Edvanapara. And you're in Silicon Valley. So tell us a little bit about your upbringing, like where were you raised, and what we'll go through your journey a little bit. So where do you do your schooling, and where were you, tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. First of all, thank you for the invitation, and I'm happy to be here. And when you called me yesterday, day before yesterday, obviously I come running, because I really wish you all the best. This is really good, and it's a great opportunity for me to be here. Now, talking about a little bit of where I'm coming from. It's a small town called, we wouldn't say a small town, it is a village, right? Edvanapara.
And this is in Malappuram district.
It's in the
India,
Malappuram district,
Kerala.
Yeah.
And it was part of the Zamorin's empire back in the time, I believe, right? It was all part of it was all the kingdoms of Kerala back in the time.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a Samorian part. It's
was it more the Punnani side of the Zamorins?
So predominantly is Muslims, right?
Okay. But now it's predominantly Muslim population. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, even then, for traditionally speaking, for a long time.
Is it because of the trade between Kerala and Arabia and Middle East at that time?
So when I was born, because that particular time, that is actually is my mother's homeland, home place. And then my father and everybody settled there. My grandfather also lived in that place for some time. But where I was born in there. Yeah. And then I was actually, travel a little bit when I was a kid with my father, because he was in the service.
He was in the Indian Air Force.
Indian Air Force. And then he eventually came back and retired and settled there.
In the country.
Country, yeah. And growing up is like one of the important aspects is like it is beautiful. Yeah. It is a very agricultural background.
It's very green.
Very green and very, in my mother's home, they have the paddy field. They have this banana trees and things like that. So when I was growing up, it's fun. A lot of things. Do you think
most people live there off of their fields and agriculture, and
that's the main source of income.
Agrarian society.
Yes,
more.
It's
maybe some traders here and there, but
right. And then there's actually that. We were one of those prominent families in that area at that time. So there was a lot of expectations when I went to the school, right? You should study hard and do a lot of things and win a job, a public job, and to a point where I bought into that concept,
Yeah.
but eventually there was a problem. I mean, there was what I found out is like
Were you the top scorer in your school or something?
I would say that I was very good at scoring marks in my younger times.
Yeah.
But there is a things started happening because this is the first time I thought about it. So how you measure the intelligence at that time in the school system was you are just memorizing a lot of words and the lessons.
Road memorization.
Memorization, and then you exactly explain that memory into the papers.
It goes. What they say is it goes from the professor's brain to the blackboard to your book.
Exactly.
And then back to your exam paper, not to your brain.
And I was actually kind of really didn't like the way I was learning. So that young age, the tender age, I felt really disconnected with the learning system, and I kind of lost interest in a little bit of the learning system because the mathematics I thought mathematics is beautiful, but even the way they taught it in such a way that you have to learn it this way, I didn't understood what is a real application, right? So tell a kid, if I'm type of kid like, okay, give me a house to build and give me geometry, then I will understand geometry well.
Yeah.
Because that's a tool I need to use really. So I was more into a pragmatic studies rather than something
you bring
conventional.
up a good point about the education system in a lot of parts of the world, including in India and China, I heard, and in some parts of Europe, which is very learning by rote memorization.
Right.
You know what Albert Einstein said, I think, about if you judge a cat by its ability to climb high trees, and if you judge a monkey by its ability to be very domesticated at home, both are gonna fail you in life, right? So you have to judge the right kids by the right sort of factors, is what I believe. So going back to your point about, and then did you finish schooling in your village and then moved
Right.
What happened after?
So there is I'm not I never want to play in a conventional world, right? I always see out of the box. The reason is everybody's told you really study hard and then you win a job, then you marry off and you lead a beautiful life, and that is a sample of success given to us at that point in time.
You see everybody doing it, so you feel like...
I didn't feel any... For example, the biggest dream was winning a bank job, right? That's
a banker job.
Banker job.
Teller job.
Teller job, right?
That was a cool job.
Cool job. Yeah. So when I really thought about it, for example, in order to perform that job, you don't need a master in mathematics or master in any subject. Simple calculations, simple accounting skills.
It could be like a 10th class pass,
exactly.
Or fail even, probably.
Probably does. And then all these people is applying for that job is like heavily mastered, and they're like everybody went to 5, 6, 7 years of grad school, and that kind of people are applying for that job, and I didn't felt that is right. Right? I mean, why do you really want to study it this hard? Because you are not applying even 10%, even 5% of that entire skill set in your real application. So I felt very disconnected in that world.
Yeah.
So
where did you end up going to college after your? I mean, so you passed. I mean,
the passing was very interesting because I didn't really want to pass, but then I passed because just for I knew all those information. I just wrote whatever.
The game. Okay.
I played the game. Then everybody thought, okay, he's not good. He's not gonna make it. But I was okay with that because at that point in time I was really sticking on me. I mean, it's like, dude.
So you barely passed, and people, I'm guessing, gave up on you.
Yeah, they did. They did give up on me.
And how did that make you feel, and what did you do after that?
No, then all of a sudden the expectation is very low. so they don't have any expectations on you. So I felt that burden
you felt liberated.
Liberated after that.
Maybe we should do that to all our kids. Have very low expectations.
Low expectations.
I heard this term called low expectations, high possibilities.
Correct, exactly.
So the more.
But then I kind of, when I went to my, those times is a +2 high school. There is a different schooling system back in India.
So I think they follow the English way of 10 +2 and then.
Right.
3 or 4 years of college for associate degrees.
And then I went to a professional school in engineering, that is a navigation science engineering. That is where I really have to brushen up all my mathematics, everything. Whatever I learned, I have to unlearn and relearn. Because that particular time, in order to pass those examinations, is a 95%. That means one question you can get wrong, but that's the only question anybody will get it right. So I kind of went through initial entrance, but I didn't went through the first selection. But somebody dropped out. That's how I got into the selection.
But so you did this naval engineering degree. Did you continue in that?
I did. I mean, I was really interested in it when I studied all those things. But the moment I went into the sea, I really know this is not the career I want to pursue.
You're like, oh shit, I'm scared of the sea.
No, it's not about that. It's actually kind of you knew the intuition, right? Whereas because that's the first time I was introduced into the computer science as part of the sub. So I was very attracted with that. The possibilities of
this was in 90s, I believe.
It is 91 to 93.
This is like early .com, like pre-.com bubble. Yeah, it's probably when Amazon was starting and all of that.
Amazon was started as 95, I believe.
94, right? 95, yeah. Okay. So this is hot. Computers were hot back in the time, or like starting to get hot.
Yeah, starting to get hot. I mean, that's what the first introduction for me. So I knew this is a career I want to pursue. So
you went from nobody to engineering to then you got hooked onto computers.
Yeah.
And then you did do some special degree in computers.
Yeah, so I just pursued that. Then I came back and after completing the course successfully, I didn't pursue that career in the sea. It is a long career also. For example, you have years of sea experience before you go and mature and attend the exam. But I didn't see, my lifespan is very short. I didn't see the success in it by the time 40s and 50s. And you have to keep your eyesight very pristine. And I always found that my eyesight has a little issues too.
I always wondered these people on the sea, like, how do they have a life? Are they like don't. 6 months on, 6 months off?
Yeah, 6 months off, 6 months. Yeah, that is kind
of
life.
Do they stay married? Do they have families? Like how does
none
work?
of the people I'm known at that time, they were all single. And that's okay. I mean, they have their own different lifestyles and... but anyway, that is not for me.
That was not attractive. And then computers, so you jumped onto the computer bandwagon back in the day. What did you do? What was and did you work in that field right after?
So initial introduction was to understanding what is the software is and doing the basic programming and different languages. What attracted me is I see the creativity right then and there. I see you can see real tangible solutions you can create. And I thought about at that time, we were thinking about artificial intelligence, but we never thought about how much, the processing power requires on each machines. So I was learning all the system-based programming and,
And where were you living at this time?
This is the time I was in Mada Amritanandamai, that ashram.
That ashram school in Kerala.
And then after that I had a break, but I was learning there, but I really want to do the practical, go around. So I wrote to my uncle at that time, and he was in Delhi, he was well-to-do. So I really want to do some opening. So it's just like that,
So you went to Delhi after?
I went to the Delhi in 1995. It's a very hot summer in Delhi.
But Delhi probably had more opportunities, the capital of India, and it was
At that
probably
time,
booming.
it was the right decision in my life because it's a lot of things going on there, and I got a good break. And then I further went to a CDAC course there to study, and then right after that, I went into a job.
Got it. And that was in Delhi itself?
That was in Delhi itself.
And what happened? So you worked in that job. When did you then move out of India? I know you at some point.
Yeah, for 1997 end, I had an opportunity to work for a consultancy firm. They have a lot of projects back in the UK.
Got it.
And that is where I ended up going to UK.
UK, you did a project there.
Yeah.
How was your experience in UK? Very different from India?
It was very different from India, and I kind of liked it, but it was restricted a little bit. I felt more kind of different treatment, right?
I see. Was it like racism, or was it?
I think it's a little bit of that. I believe, I didn't say, but people, behave you in a different way because you came here to work them and they were treating in a different way. But that didn't affect me much. But I was there almost close to a year. But it's a fantastic experience. We had every Friday going out and
pub cultures
and all that.
Got it.
But then I got just after that, during the time, I was planning I did little studies in UK. So that was very good. So and then during the time I was actually coming back in India, I had a 6 months off. And that is when I landed in Saudi Arabia at one point in time.
Was it through a consultant? How did you end up?
Yeah, so it's through a consultancy. It's a different consultancy.
Okay. So India, UK, and then India, then back to Saudi?
Yeah, it was.
What was your experience in Saudi? Like, what did they hire you for? And
So they hired me for doing some kind of accounting software.
Software, okay.
So
this was where was it? Riyadh, Jeddah?
It was in Riyadh.
Riyadh, okay.
So, but I kind of, when I came there, they were treating me completely different, right?
Okay, so tell us what happened in Saudi.
So yeah, it was a very interesting experience. When I landed in Riyadh, it was a midnight, and it was a Ramzan season. And I was so hungry, and I couldn't get any single glass of water.
Okay.
And then I went to checked into a hotel. And a hotel is actually reserved by my consultancy. So when I asked for a glass of water, hey, dude, this is not a time to drink anything here.
Okay. Didn't you know about the whole Ramzan season?
I didn't know about this. Then I was.
They're pretty strict about.
Yeah.
I heard they have relaxed rules in Dubai and a few places, but I'm not sure about Riyadh. I heard Riyadh is relaxed a lot these days, especially in 5-star hotels and.
But I only stayed there like less than 5 days.
Oh, so you didn't take the job?
No, I went, and then the first thing they asked me hey, give your passport. At that point in time, why are you asking for my passport? That's the only way. I mean, if I lose that, I was not.
Stuck.
I didn't. I got something fishy about it. The entire thing. So I told my friend, hey, book me the ticket, and he told.
Is it because you didn't? You felt something was off, or was it because you didn't like the environment?
I didn't like the environment.
Or the way they were treating you?
That's the way they're treating me. And secondly, I felt a little fishy, the things that I set up. I was supposed to do a certain work, and they were doing some different type of works, right?
Okay.
So I thought, this is not what I signed up for, right? And at that time...
there's an interesting... I know that you experienced it. There's an interesting movie called The Goat Life.
Goat Life, yeah.
And that actually explains a lot of the... These are not white-collar workers, but a lot of the blue-collar workers who go to places in Middle East like Saudi and how they're treated.
Right.
It's a pretty gruesome watch, but I
watched that movie.
Put that on the show notes. But yeah, please. And then you stayed there for a few days.
I stayed there for a few days, and then not few days. The first day they asked me to the passport. I said I forgot. Second day, I deliberately didn't bring. I forgot. Then the attitude they changed. He's
I
just
see.
shouted, right? I went back. Third day, I said, I'm sick. Fourth day, I said, to my friend, hey, send me a ticket. And he told me, it was an email. I has access to email, by the way. It's very hard. Those days, email is not really very common. So he told me, yeah, your ticket is ready. Just go back and.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and that day, the night, I left.
You escaped.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if we go back to Saudi, do you think you'll be?
I mean,
they'll probably have you in your system, in their system, and then you
don't
went back to India, and then how did you end up? I mean, you're here in Silicon Valley. How did you come to
so
America?
that is
after
very,
that?
very, very interesting because just after that, I went back to UK because it was supposed to be 6 months. So 2 weeks later, they called me again. So I went there. So I have to really apply for the work permit in UK. So the company, they gave me an offer letter. It was a construction software at that time I was working on. And they really liked my work. And then they extended the offer. So I was there, doing all the paperwork. And I went to London, a place called Southex. There is a good Punjabi food. So you can, 4 pounds, you can eat as much as you want. It's a
back
buffet
of the
thing.
day.
Back of the day. And
I don't think they have
tummy.
4-pound buffets anymore.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. And then I was eating, and this guy sat in front of me because there's no particular seats. Everybody seats in a different places, and so there's somebody shares. So I met this guy. He was visiting UK, and he was running a consultancy firm in US. It's called Global Infotech, and he told me. So we just talked, and he was asking some questions, and all of a sudden he started a kind of interview questions, right? Then he told me, "You have the papers. We would like to process you. Would you like to come to US?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So he took
at
all
a random restaurant in London.
London.
Okay.
And then he told me that, hey, one of my friend also want to talk to you. Is there any way you can give us your phone number? So I had a phone number where I was staying. It was like it's a house. So
it's
I was
landline.
there's a landlord, but I can I use their phone,
Landline. Yeah.
landline. So to my surprise, I just came to the house within half an hour or 45 minutes. I got a call, and the guy was completely somewhere in New York, and he sat and he started giving me interview. I still remember all the network layers and C++ questions. So I was that interview became a conversation. So I knew this is really a good opportunity. I mean, it was nice. And then they took all my papers. Then within a month or two, so I applied for the work permit there. So London work permit takes longer time. It's around 8 or 9 months or something.
Wow.
Once you started processing. They gave a interim 6 months stay and you work permit. So by the time, I still remember, it's like 4th week or 5th week, I got a call, hey, your H1 is ready.
This is the work permit in US.
It's a work permit as in US. These days H1 is like a huge deal, right?
They have lottery system
and all that. And at that time,
it's hotly contested between the two administrations. Correct. Now with these.
Right. This was in 1998 December, and I got my H1, and I told that employer, hey, I need to go back to India. There's a family emergency. In fact, it was a lie, but anyway. So that is how I came back to India, and I spent only 1 week at my hometown, and I told everyone I'm going to US, America. And everybody's surprised. You're going to US, and even to the biggest surprise was when I went to US. And a lot of people even didn't talk to my dad for years. I mean, they never, but they were like, "Hey, your son is in US." I mean, So he used to tell me that's a little pride of himself. So it just happened, right?
God. I mean, you were, I think, I mean, if there's not a lot of people from that part of the world coming to America at that
Right.
time, and now it's I think a little more common.
Yeah,
but,
it's more common now, but yeah.
And then you landed in where did you land in U.S.?
So I landed in Sunnyvale,
So California.
California.
Got it.
And then I stayed there for 15 days. So the process is like in any consultancy, they have this, they win the jobs, and that person.
And then you have to then work for them,
Work
and
for
then
them.
they take a cut from
Yeah,
there.
exactly. And then I got into Intel pretty much directly. And this was in 1999. So I was in Oregon.
Was it a
Portland.
software engineering job?
Yes, it was a software engineering job in Intel. And it was 1999. So I spent almost a year and a half in Portland. And then then right after that, I got an opportunity to work for Microsoft.
Got it.
And that also was a consultancy job. But I kind of liked it, but that was...
Was it more on the application side or infrastructure side?
So at that time, there was an operating system, Microsoft NT. That is Microsoft New Technologies, an operating system that used in their server side. So there were a lot of compliance. So basically, my job was to figure it out, where is this issues coming from. So every new version, so this is an old version. So old version code we were looking at and examining, and what is the issues and labeling that is an issue. If not addressed, we provide the hot fixes. So those kind of things. It's a small little work. Nothing exciting.
And then you were in Portland, I guess.
Yeah, I was in Portland.
And then you came back to
back to Silicon Valley.
California, and you met your ex-wife in Portland, or
no,
like
ex-wife I met in Seattle.
Seattle. But you were working in Seattle with Microsoft, I believe, at that time, and then you guys got married and probably came back to California,
Right.
And then you
No, actually, I came back in California, and its marriage was like. It just happened. It's not supposed. I mean, it is what it is, right?
well, you did get married.
You get married.
And then you started in tech. And then did you move on to other roles in other companies post that?
So what happens is, once I got H1 through a specific company. Here, that company is called Network Appliances at that time. It was a very good company, and they do really well.
This is NetApp.
NetApp. So, it's kind of, I stuck with it. So, H1 is very limited at that point in time. So I was hoping when the marriage happened, then green card was processing to end through my work and through my marriage. But anyway, the marriage route was faster, but then it is not that faster, because one of my friend got applied through the H1s in H1 back in the day in 2002 2003, that time.
This is post.com
bust, but there was actually a period where H1 to green card transition was faster. So if I would have stayed that H1, I would have gotten faster, quicker.
Okay.
But then later on, it's all just messed up.
After 9/11, changed a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, 9/11 kind of... I was here when that was happening. Just before few days, I was actually traveling to Seattle, and before 9/11. I still remember, my flight time was around evening 7:30 p.m. and I was still in the parking lot in 7:30 in the airport. I was not even changed, and I quickly thrown my stuff and run into the plane like 7:33, and those days, those are possible.
Yeah,
you can't even think about
no checks,
those.
Nothing. You can just walk it, carry a knife. Yeah, 9/11 changed a lot of things. Yeah. And then, so I think you were, and I believe from NetApp, you did a bunch of infrastructure roles for companies, NetApp, IBM, and then at some point you moved to product from your more tech focused roles? Is that
So,
how did that happen?
yeah, I mean, there is, so when you are an engineer, like your vision is, you never think about the business point of view, right? You just work in your perfection of certain things, certain
You're
features.
more detail oriented.
More detail oriented on that specific segment. But I really want to get the overall picture, the end-to-end workflow of anything. So I transitioned into the product side of the things, infrastructure and product side of the things. And one of the skill I thought I have is to effective way to communicate with the customers and understand their problem and providing the effective solutions. So I really want to get into a transition. That is when I changed into the product side of the things. So the deep technical understanding, as well as the product understanding and the entire business overall goal, that will transition to me. What I really want to do is build something.
So you were doing some sort of customer facing product building.
Yes, all those.
And this was in IBM or the Informatica?
So it was actually in IBM. I started my career that transition. So I worked in infrastructure phase for a longer time. I really like those aspects of the things because data is the key element for everything. So if you analyze the data, everything about is data, right? So I kind of really like that fact that where to store the data, efficiently to manipulate the data. And then from there to how to structure the data, because there is a lot of, and then over the time I saw, all this technologies and, visual recognition and, noise recognition is getting powerful more. And then data modeling is doing really well. So that is where my skill set were, and that's where I transitioned to the product.
So and I believe you did some product degrees and how was I mean, this is the right place to be for product management for tech in the world, Silicon Valley. You're building cool products, and then you transitioned to post-product to entrepreneurship, which we'll talk about in our next segment. But so how long have you been in America now?
So total around 25
years.
Yes.
So you probably spent half of your life
more than
in America, more than half. So you're an Indian American. How has America been for you?
It was really good. I mean, there is a lot of opportunity, right? For example, there is nothing, nobody judge you what you do, right? And you have this freedom. And another thing is that there is no reservation, or you cannot do this, you cannot do that. There is always an openness, right? And I really liked about that. And so far, I've been blessed, right, in that particular area. But I still believe that there's a lot of potential, which untapped potentials, because when as life goes, you kind of went into the auto drive mode, and then you didn't explore, you didn't know that skills.
So you're leading half of your life growing up in your home country, India, and half of your life here. What do you think America has that India doesn't have? Now, you're in a good position to actually say that. So I'm curious to hear what your viewpoint is.
No, the
India you grew up in. I mean, it's changed over the years.
Yeah,
but the India you grew up in versus if you look at it today from where you are, what do you think are on the positive corners?
It's a positive, I would say, this opportunities, right? I mean, you really work
hard. Like professional
opportunities. And you work hard. You
opportunity to make money.
I mean, not just that. Is basically make money is one part of it. It's about how satisfied are you in terms of your life. That's most important.
You mean the higher quality of life?
Quality of the life in the sense is like you have the freedom. You don't have to, you are not being judged, or you don't have to live in a certain...
So all these societal hooks and
hooks and the
conditions and
conditions.
stigma associated with all the
Yeah.
do's and don'ts of life that you.
And I think that also helps. And another thing is that if I were in Europe or somewhere else, I might have that kind of opportunity, I believe. But then you have a lot of ways to.
So you don't feel constrained by things that would prevent you from success in your mind.
Yeah,
in some
yeah,
ways.
exactly. I mean, it's not just the money factor. It's all about you. Are you learning, right? Yeah. Are you have the hands-on good books, or are you able to learn a lot of new skills? And that makes the most important to me. I mean,
But if I could argue that you could have that anywhere in the world with internet and books and stuff, you could
now you
technically
have,
be
but
anywhere.
then you have all other opportunities.
Why be in America still, right? I mean, what would you tell somebody who is considering, hey, do I move or do I stay? Coming from, let's say, India, what would you say?
No, I would say that it depends on the choices. For example, I thought that you can create anywhere the opportunities anywhere, wherever you are. But then here you have more kind of, if you really want to do certain things your own, or let's say you want to be an entrepreneur, and all of a sudden when I started that journey, so there are many more opportunities, and I never thought it would just be possible anywhere.
Yeah, I believe that I've heard this from some people that I think we all like to hang out with people who are similar minded, like minded. So if you're sort of a smart person, you want to hang out with other smart people. If you're an entrepreneur, you want to hang out with other people who think alike. So people generally tend to move to places there's concentration of people who think the same way. And that's why there's always a concentration of people who like tech around Silicon Valley, finance, let's say in New York or London or Hong Kong, and so on and so forth. So maybe, do you think that's a factor in people moving to where people think alike and have similar values? So.
Right. I mean, you have an opportunity to connect with a lot of people. See, in the life is lot of you need to learn a lot of things, and also your ability to how effectively you connect and work with other people. So then this become a very curious place, because you have a lot of different types of talents. You have the opportunity to get help from each different segments. So that's kind of very, and people are willing to share. That's more important.
Yeah, it's a little bit openness in culture. They're not holding things tight to their chest, which is in some parts of the world. I was talking to somebody, they said, if you just have a conversation like we're having right now, or you just randomly talk to somebody in the cafe, their question would be, why are you talking to me?
Yeah.
But here, if you go sit in a coffee shop in Palo Alto and talk to somebody, they'll be like, hey, what are you working on? Like, and that could be an ex-co-founder or investor or partner.
That is actually the openness, right, when it comes to that. And even when I was looking for, last year when I was looking to launch something, so I need a lot of information which way I need to go, right? There was not a lot of guidance I needed. So then I was looking at various possibilities. So I want to have a business idea which is ready to launch. And secondly, I need to get funded. So when I was looking at that information, there was guidance all over the places when I was working with entrepreneurs, working with franchisee consultants, and they were guiding me through and through.
Before we go into the entrepreneurship segment, I do want to ask the flip question. What do you think, based on your, because being an Indian American, what do you think India has that America lacks?
I mean, there is a rich culture value. I mean, so there are certain things which I've been taught, right? The character, what is that called? It's there is something that, stability when you that family foundation and things like that.
Family values
Family's
are
values
different, as in
Right.
there's more, I would say, nuclear versus more. I mean,
Yeah.
there are nuclear families in India these days mostly, but uh, yeah, there is a lot more attachment to the families, I think.
There is, but there is actually the thing is that it feels good when you're away from the situation. When you are living in, I would say it's kind of a little difficult.
It could be a little bit
overwhelming.
what they say, right? Good fences make good
Good,
neighbors.
exactly.
So sometimes you need a space to grow and
Right.
flourish. But the India you grew up in probably is not the India right now. It's they are
That's completely
there's the Bangalore is sort of the Silicon Valley of India, and every other conversation in any coffee shop is funding a startup or like having so again I do want to say that the India we're comparing is different now versus what it was when we grew up or when you grew up.
No, the one of the important aspect is still astonish me. The kind of talents I have been associated when I was in school, and I'm seeing the talent coming in, right? I do believe that quality of the talent is really, really fascinating.
I mean, gone up.
Gone up and gone. I mean, the talent was always there. I mean, it's one of the fascinating thing is I found that people are very creative within their own things. They have they're limited in the imagination because it's a little restricted. But if you really open up, you could I found it like very fascinating, right?
Yeah. And what we towards the end of this first segment, would you say net America has been good to you? Good for you?
Yeah, I mean it was been I'm being blessed. I mean many of those times, the most of the times is like when I had a bad times and good times. I've been blessed that I've been helped by a lot of people, and that is most important, right? And I went through many of those bad times in my life, but it gives me a learning experience, and I also
And you went through you had a child, had a rough divorce, and that had a
those are
effect
the
on
part
you.
of the things, even the career wise and even the things. But I just always find out that when I reached out, people was willing to help. So I like that part. I mean, at the end of the day, you say, did you ever experience godly experience? That is my godly experience. So when you are down and somebody is giving you that helping hand, it's fascinating, and that's a part of entire life journey, right?
Yeah,
So
and you experienced that all while you were living here, far away from home.
Yeah.
So, which I definitely want to talk about your new phase of life in our next segment.
Yeah.
We will end our segment 1 here. Thank you, and we'll come back for segment 2 after a break. Well, welcome to segment 2 of our conversation with Uday. I call this segment Entrepreneurship and Capitalism. So Uday, you were in the tech industry, various roles, software engineering, infrastructure, product, and then you decided to dip your feet into entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
With your initially the health tech startup that you were trying to launch. So tell us a little bit about that.
Right. In 2017, it's a concept. What we want to do is like we have a, we want to start a healthcare platform. Ideally, is the same thing. Looking at the people's data. So, for example, you can predict if you really just observe your habits, your eating habits, your sleeping habits, sleeping patterns, eating patterns, and that with the bodily function. So, for example, all our bodies actually functions the same way, right? But then based on your intake, certain foods are not good for you, certain foods are good for you. And what we want to collect all this data.
Yeah. And what were you trying to solve? The problem statement?
The problem is actually for the diabetics platform, it makes a lot of sense because they have to record all their sleeping pattern, eating pattern, everything.
So you were trying to have an app that supports people
exactly.
with
they can log
diabetes.
in that information.
Got it.
And we can run the analytics behind the scenes, and we can predict a lot of behaviors.
And how long did you run this for?
So we did 2017 we launched, and we had up to 2019 2 years we had a product
this.
in fact.
Got it.
And the problem was
you wound it up in 2019.
2020 actually we put it as a open source.
Okay. Got it.
And that open source consumed by some of this healthcare hospitals.
So well, in the Valley, I mean, what is that? 95% of the startups fail, and but you're actually much better with that badge of failure in Silicon Valley than anywhere else. Like anywhere else, you'd be considered a failure in life, but here...
But we didn't took any money from anyone. So we basically had a product actually, and we tried it. And the problem we ran into is basically there is a lot of people doing the same thing in the hospital system uniquely. And then we want to give a differentiation. The only, at that time, I'm still working on a concept where that can be used in AI specific. Now that data, we did a lot of things that can be more put in a model.
In your experience working and open sourcing this product, what was the biggest lesson you learned in that journey for that company?
I mean, biggest lesson is actually building a team. Right, the team is very important, and motivating the people, and that's a fascinating part of me. But at that point in time, we did everything with interns, employees. I mean, who came in from the school fresh. They just learned, they applied, and they all got jobs in Amazon, Microsoft, and Google and stuff like that.
So you were a launching pad for some of the young.
There was launching pad engineers, but few people are still working on it. They're part-time.
So you're saying that you still have not given up on that idea, but although you're pursuing other things right now.
Yeah.
So then you started a vending machine business after your health tech venture. Why vending machines?
No, that was actually very interesting because I want to start something. Right, somewhere a non-conventional business, not just about the tech, because I was looking at some of the business opportunity. Eventually, I can do automation. A lot of times when you look at the tech center, it's the same thing. You repeat the same concept each and every time. So I want to make it more kind of useful. So we start with something like vending machines, see how that goes, because so
that was the intent that you were trying to build a vending machine tech by owning a vending machine business. So eventually,
so basically what we did is like, okay, we want to start something, so we found out this particular concept of vending machines.
So how does it work? You buy these vending machines, and then who stocks it? Who pays for it?
So that's the thing, right? We do the stock. We actually do everything. We buy the products, and we fill the product. So initially, we thought about providing healthy food for school system. That was the initial concept, and solve the problem of hunger or providing the good food. But when we started with
these are like refrigerated vending machines?
Yeah, so refrigerated and health drinks and things like that. That's what our original concept was. But when we promoted our concept to the school system, they didn't really,
The
accept
schools
it.
have their own lunch programs.
Their lunch programs and
uh,
all that. So, but we want to give an alternative method to do
Okay.
that. We want to convert these vending machines to hot foods to provide the good food for the kids, and that
But
was
are
an
there
issue.
hot vending machines that actually can keep the food hot?
Yeah, he can. So then
I've never seen a hot vending machine. Or
Yeah,
is
you
it...
can do that. So it's
Okay.
basically that's what we are trying to do, and then it didn't work out. So eventually, all these machines we ordered hot machines, which you can order. Then we canceled to regular vending machines, and we gave to all the auto dealerships and all that things eventually.
Yeah, so I could see auto dealership,
Yeah.
people waiting for their car to be
Cars.
repaired, getting a muffin or
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
one of those Snicker bars. Is that what's the main segment for vending machines? I mean, where do people keep these vending machines mostly?
Their break rooms. So it's
Auto
and then-
dealership break rooms or repair shops,
Yeah.
break rooms. Are there other big areas you see vending machines? I mean,
No, all our vending machines are indoor machines, right? So you cannot do outdoor machines. But it was a concept. We were just running some market testing, you will, and we just invested like 50 grand or 60 grand. That's it. We had all. All
and
that.
what are the profit margins generally for this business?
Actually, it's a 40% of profit margin.
So that $1 Snicker bar I'm paying is like 60 cents.
Yeah, 60 cents you pay, but you can charge up to $2.50.
Cents for the card. So you're getting 40% gross margins on
Yeah,
these
yeah,
products,
yeah,
basically. Okay,
yeah.
that's a pretty,
It's a
that's
healthy
almost
margin. It's a healthy margin. You
some of
cannot
the
get
software
it.
business
Yeah.
margins on this.
Yeah.
But isn't it very operationally heavy? Somebody has to.
It is operationally very heavy. We found out because we couldn't. I want to employ few people, but eventually we decided not to do that because we didn't. The logistics become big problems, and
especially if these locations are far away.
yeah,
You have to drive around, do all this restocking business, right?
So what we did is like we placed our vending machine strategically all over where we live, and it just right now it is fine.
So how many machines do you have?
We have 10 machines.
And if you have to go around stocking one after the other, how long will it take?
It only takes like a few hours.
Few hours. Okay. So it's logistically not that
Logistically
bad
not that bad,
for
and
you
you
to-
have to run two to three times in a week. That few hours.
Got it. And but in a way, this is a 24/7 business because you could, until the stock runs out,
Correct.
but you could technically be making money on it
Yeah.
for 24/7 if
So-
you have enough stock.
Here is the thing, right? I mean, I want to do something, more kind of a business model which runs itself, is pays itself, right? And it sustains itself. So that is what I was started with the conventional business model. So all the business ideas are very fascinating, right? So then we knew this is our input and this will be our output. We didn't expect to leave out of this business, but it is a side gig.
Got it.
But what exactly helped me is like to connect with our customers. And every time you go to these places and when you fill it up, hey, you start up a little conversation, and they just say, hey, my food is coming, and that's kind of gives a very good experience. That
That's also product feedback for each of the
exactly,
businesses.
and
well, right?
that's a benefit of this.
So then, and after that, you also embarked on another venture, the fencing and railing business. So tell us, what does a fencer and a railer do? Like,
so it was very interesting because when I decided I don't want to work for anybody in the corporate world, the reason being is I just want to build my own team, and I want to run.
You decided that in your 50s.
Yeah, that is in my 50s, and I have to start somewhere, right? And I have to run the test, tech ideas, but it takes some times to get funded, but you need to survive in those period of time. So I looked at the franchisee opportunities, and where I also
But why franchise versus starting something from
so
scratch?
franchise is basically the one of the important aspect you get with the franchisee. You have all the system ready to go. Your marketing is ready to go. Your back-end system is ready to go.
So you're not starting from ground zero.
You're not starting from ground zero. And once you start it, you are actually doing the proper business. So when I looked at this business, it has a lot of opportunity in the area we want to operate. Secondly, it has a decent profit margin. The net profit can be optimized further, but at the end you get up to 10 to 15% of net profit, and you could run a business model up to 3 to 4 million, even more in that given geography. But there is an overhead though. It's a very heavy management overhead.
So tell us a little bit about what does a fencing and railing company do?
So normally,
So if I was,
so let's say you're a client and you need a fence.
so like a residential fence.
Residential client. So you have you
Like
have
an aging fence that is breaking down.
Correct. And then that linear feet of fence, and then our jobs to measure that requirements, correctly assess the materials. So when a fence involved is a post, rail, and pickets. This is the three things. And you dig a hole. That's the biggest job in the fencing business. You dig a hole, you put the post, and once you did that, the rest is pretty straightforward. And you have, say for example, your material cost will be around 20-25%, and your another 15% is your labor cost. So 35% of, then you get around close to 65% left over. That 65% you have to run your other business like marketing budget, and your other employees, office managers and salesperson overhead. So I looked at it, and there is a lot of opportunity for automation, because this entire fencing idea, the construction of the fencing, is very absolute mathematics. Meaning you have a specific linear feet. We can determine the material you requires, and then all this digging work can still be automated. There is a opportunity for robotics coming into this particular construction business, and it's a fundamental construction business where you can start the automation slowly.
But what I've heard is, with AI revolution and boom, the last set of jobs that will be lost to AI are apparently the physical and construction jobs.
Yes.
So it's also a AI-proof business, but don't you think, in some ways?
It is. I mean, that's...
For at least, I don't know, 10, 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, for example, the humanoids is there.
Do you think the humanoid robots is going to do your fencing job?
There could be. So there are a lot of the digging instruments has automated to an extent, but it's still humans has to carry that digging instrument to that places.
I think it's going to be I think they're going to look at all these contractor jobs as the last frontier. Somebody's going to make money on it, but the last frontier for AI automation, because, robot comes in, does your hammer in one different point, then at different point you have liability, and you have all these.
No, actually it's completely so all this robots works in a uniform manner, right? They will never make any mistake, because they understand that a measurement where the nail need to be put it appropriately.
Well, I'll see it when I'll believe it when I see it.
So for example, look at the Tesla, gigabit, the manufacturing is the best example. They does everything with the robotic hands. not even Tesla, any car
This is a
manufacturers.
gigafactory.
Gigafactory.
Factory.
Any car factory, there's everything is put together as a
No, I understand. Within a manufacturing setup where the environment is controlled,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
But if the robot is coming to your home, to your backyard, and doing a fence, that's different.
Actually, so there is, see, for example, if you look at the Boston Dynamics, those dogs robots, right? They actually started performing really well in uncontrolled environment, whereas environment is not controlled.
But those are for military uses and
Yeah, I mean,
probably
even
carrying
then-
payload.
For example, that is what exactly we need that. For example, my labor charge on a fencing is the heaviest charges at 15%. If I can reduce that with automation, say 5%.
Maybe you should, instead of the fencing business, you should invest in a fencing robot
I mean,
business.
it's a good business to have. Once we zero down and optimize this business and running a successful business, next thing I want to do is an automation.
What's the margins on this fencing business generally? Better than the vending machine business?
Oh yeah, it's way better.
Yeah.
So if we do, that's why I'm full time on it, right? Because we need to hire people here. It's not like vending machines, and we need an office, we need a warehouse. You saw it.
And for the for the show notes, we'll link your. So you have the fencing and railing business from. What's the name of the franchise that you?
It's a Superior
Fencing, and you have the Sacramento
area,
yes. I believe, right? We'll put it in the show notes. Yeah. But why jump into entrepreneurship in your 50s?
Yeah, that's a good question, because a lot of times what happened is, when I was starting, I had a huge struggle because I really want to be an entrepreneur to start with, but never had an opportunity because we have constrained our, legality of the stay. When that resolved, a lot of times your personal life get into the way.
And you visa issues and work visa
and all that. As an immigrant,
which is a travesty too, because a lot of people, for benefit of some of the audience, some of the folks on H-1B visa can only work for their own employer.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people are smart. They come from various
so I
colleges.
can tell you one of the experience, right? When we were looking at, the new business we funded by SBA loan is a small business administration loan. Now, in order to pass that loan, it's not a venture capitalist. So you need to be at least a citizen, and you need to have a very pristine, good credit history with no criminal record whatsoever. That is a prerequisite for those SBA loans, and you can claim up to $5 million dollars. And you have to pay 20% of, based on your good credit, it will be 15% and 10%. In our case, we only paid 10% download. So even to qualify those opportunities, take the benefit, you can't
be a visa holder.
Correct, exactly.
So there's a lot of if they would amend some of these immigration laws for people on their work visas to start companies, I think it would bring more innovation and prosperity to America.
Oh yeah, definitely. I believe so.
I read this report that in Silicon Valley, I could be wrong on the exact number, but 30 to 40% of the startups have an immigrant founder.
Yeah.
And you make America was founded on immigrants coming here for better life.
Right.
And if we could make that process little easier, that would, I think, increase the GDP of the country.
I really believe that if the talent coming in, and they are all tech talent, but they have to look into other business opportunities, you will find a lot of, business ventures you can start. What I find is in 50, I'm working with the, corporate world. You can have 10, 15 years of corporate life, but after that, it's in order to really, you need to expand your skill set. you need to really start your a business or opportunity in your front through your hand, because then you will learn all those, the
Yeah, it's not easy because
it's not.
it's,
So,
it's,
for
it's a
example,
plunge.
yesterday I went to bed like 2 a.m. and I'm here, got up 5 a.m. I was here 9 o'clock. I was never motivated when I was an employee, but I could, when we got our warehouse and where our office is in a bad shape.
Yeah, you're working for yourself.
I
and
was working
you're
for I
building
was
equity for
equity
yourself,
yeah.
and you're living the American dream.
Yeah. And I'm so happy. And I would say that I would recommend everybody goes through that experience. Then you will find along the way, when you start, you find the problems and you solve the problems. And that is when the magic is. Then you kind of see, for example, once you started creating more creative, you can never stop. You just goes next and next.
And technically, people don't associate creativity in business, but you could be creative in business. I mean,
Yeah.
I would argue that all the Fortune 500 companies at some point were just startup ideas.
Yeah.
And you make it into a multi-billion-dollar business. You think about companies like Instagram and Snapchat. All they offer you is some filters and some photo options, and now boom, they're like multi-billion-dollar businesses, right? So it's
and especially working with a small team. So what happens is when a business starts, then you start hiring, you go into big time. But it is very interesting when you work with a small team. You could do way better than you are working in a very larger team, and then So
you're running a small business. Do you think the business that you're running here, if you ran from your home country or home state or city, would that be viewed in the same way that people view you right now?
No, I mean, it's a very interesting question, right? For example, we have back in India where we live in, our family or, that stigma, whereas you cannot do certain types of jobs, right? And you cannot I cannot even imagine starting a fencing
business,
like
because
business.
you are that's reserved for certain kinds of people, not for you.
Yeah.
So I mean, I find that refreshing about America, that any job, whether you're a janitor or you're a server in McDonald's, there's a dignity of labor and dignity of business, and any kind of venture and entrepreneurship is celebrated in some ways. I think in India, this is my take on this, there's still vestiges of the remnants of the caste system.
So, but that is true. But it's changing though, because the problem is now the labor in India is also getting higher. See,
you mean more expensive?
More expensive. See, older times when we have somebody came as an agriculture, they were paid peanuts, right? Because there was not limited opportunity. There's no opportunity, and this is the opportunity they can have. Now the things are changing because our laborer in our field and back in India, they get really good pay right now, and that actually changing that dynamics even in India too, because that is where when you talk about capitalism, the market economy, when it develops, it has this behavior of you work, my time is very valuable, you pay for me. So that's very important. There's a way of accountability. So that is happening in India too these days, right? Now the agriculture business is not that profitable because of the labor cost is so high.
So I think my point was about, in India, in a lot of sectors, you're running a fencing business that you're running here would be considered, we call it dhanda. Like people are doing, you're a businessman, but you're doing something bad to make your money. In general, there's a frowning down upon in a lot of parts of society if you're running a business. But if you are a bank officer, or if you're one of those government jobs, So that's celebrated. So I feel like a country that celebrates something, elevates that particular thing.
So I would tell you, certain parts in India, for example, where we were belongs to, that is very significant. You cannot take certain jobs. But if you go to north, like for example Punjab, they don't care. They are more kind of open culture there. When I was in Delhi, my best friend is an auto mechanic, and he was having a great life actually, and his family was completely auto mechanic, and they lived a rich life, right? And they celebrated. They were actually, they took as a pride.
Yeah.
Especially Punjabis in those areas, in certain areas even if you go to Hyderabad, they pride in their business activities.
Yeah.
But back in Kerala, I think our
It's not a very business friendly state. I mean, it's become much better, I heard, because I think there were too many intellectuals
right.
Theorizing and talking about politics and state of the world in coffee shops and tea shops around the corners. And you know what? I heard that the statistics that one in every 1 person in 3 or 4 people in a family actually is in Middle East. Sending money back home, so the other people don't have to work.
Yeah.
So people can sit around in the chai shops commenting about life.
Yeah, exactly.
So and that's part of the reason apparently why Kerala, where you're from, has been a very not great place for business, because people don't have to work because somebody else is funding their lifestyle in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things are changing, in my opinion, because in olden times, there was a lot of bigger family. Then 1 person or 2 person can go and sacrifice their life and to support others. Now is more kind of that concentrated effort is coming, right? For example, some of my cousins, their younger generation, it's not any longer. If you want to support to your life, you have to work here too, right? So that's...
Coming back to your entrepreneurial journey, you're in a place where that's the way forward. Like, you're not going corporate back again.
I'm not.
Or never say never.
Never say never, but I would say that I'm not intended to.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure that this works really well. And we put a lot of efforts, a lot of research, and and there are a lot of things unknowns. Which I worry about now, but once everything started, hopefully we will solve. We will have a profitable business to moving forward, and then I could start something else. Okay. That's the idea.
So you live in California and San Francisco Bay. Your thoughts on living in San Francisco Bay, Silicon Valley?
I mean, to be really honest, I feel very blessed, right? And the same token, I always humble myself, because a lot of times I given this opportunity, I'm useful to the society, right? That is most important to me. And you make mistakes, you leave the life, you knowingly, unknowingly, it's a part of life. But then you have the character to do the right thing, do the hard work, and value of the respect. That is more, all these values. I think that is very important. And then then live your life. I mean, even if you put into a different situations. For example, I am very fond of the epic story of Mahabharata, right? Where there was a Pandavas, is a Mahabharata is about the 2 family fights, and good defeats the evil. But in fact, if you really look at it, their life was never good. For example, Pandavas, right? They've been tricked into live in this particular place, and they were supposed to be burnt. They escaped from that place. And they live in the forest, and they come back and they ask for their place to live, and they are given this big forest, demons and snakes, and they really work hard and turn into a beautiful palace, right? It's called Indraprastha, and that's actually is that the essence is the life.
You think that's a parable to Silicon Valley in some ways, where you're coming with nothing and then you're working hard? Or it's the American dream?
It's probably an American dream. It's every, because that's the thing you need to you this kind of approach you could apply anywhere. Whatever given the
When life
situations,
gives you lemons, make a lemonade
or
and margarita.
margarita and more, right? And then that's all about it. I mean, never complain, right? And if you can make it your life something good, and do it well, and when you do that, you always will have a you know how to come back in your life in every time.
Are you glad to be in America, starting a venture so late in your life? And by the way, I heard that, what was that? Abraham Lincoln became into politics, I think, somebody will correct me, either in his 40s or 50s.
Yeah.
He started late too in life. So you have good paths, good people to follow. So what do you feel that starting so late in life on entrepreneurship journey in Silicon Valley, in the Bay Area, or in California, how is this still like you're living the dream, doing this at this stage of your life?
So the mantra of the life is be happy wherever you are. But the thing is that when you want to be creative and you kind of, certain goals, you set certain goals in your life, and your goals kind of changes every 10 years or every 5 years or 3 years, right? Whatever depending on. But actually complete the goal, right? And then move on to the next one. So it is a part of a career changing, but it has already started way before. I wouldn't say it was completely new. Got the taste of entrepreneurship a little bit, but now it's going to the full scale. That scale is very fascinating.
So when I came to America many years ago, coming from a different culture, I was just trying to imbibe America a lot. So I went to this bar, not far from here, and I was just talking to it's a very small bar, talking to this bartender owner of the bar, and we were just generally talking about communism and socialism and capitalism. It was like the discussion was around, what's capitalism? He gave me the best definition I actually still carry around. He said, hey, I love brewing beer, and I love people having my beer. And if I'm making few bucks serving people a beer they love and something which I love to do, why not? Right. And that's capitalism, because you're doing something you like for somebody you want to serve who wants it, and you're making few bucks out of it. And may more people do more of that in life, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, this is how the world works, and I thought that was a beautiful definition of capitalism, I thought.
No, the important aspect of the capitalism is it allows you to own certain things and be productive. See, basically, if you look at the socialism, right? For example, everybody work in their own designed jobs. It will be monotonous, and in fact, no, everybody is not created equal, right?
Yeah, and the smart people are going to be bored because
bored of doing
they're not
the same
incentivized
thing.
to do
Exactly.
Making one extra widget.
Right. And another thing is that if Mahatma Gandhi once said there is enough stuff in content in this world to satisfy everybody's need, not the greed. But it's an ideal world, but in fact that won't really work, because we are different. We need to own
how the world runs on greed is what some people say. I mean, that's the other extreme of capitalism as well.
But yeah.
We will come to the end of this segment, entrepreneurship and capitalism. So what's been sort of your one piece of advice to entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs on this journey?
So yeah, I mean, first of all, one of the important thing is that don't fixate it on certain ideas. If you want to be ownership, you need to jump into the wagon, figure it out a business model, and there is a lot of business opportunities out there. Now, the sometimes what happens is you don't have the capital to invest in start a business. That is the problem most of the people faces. So two things you could do. You could have create a very good credit history for yourself that allows you to get initial investment capital through the
Like an
banks and
SBA
the
loan or a
SBA loan
bank.
and bank and everything. There are many avenues to do that. So, for example, there is in Silicon Valley, in the tech industry especially, the funding means is a venture capitalist. You know how tough that's going to be, and it is important.
And they don't fund the small business. They mostly fund
funds in a big
scalable
yeah.
tech
Correct.
businesses.
Yes. So, but you don't have to. You can start slow, and you can figure it out, and then you expand. You can have either scale one idea, or you can have multiple ways you can scale it. For example, you can start one fencing business, or you can do other businesses and multiple businesses simultaneously too. That is possible. But always make sure that your business model is good. Is it makes sense? Is it I understand the business very well. That is very important. And who you are serving, how you going to get the leads, what is the marketing strategy, and that is the most important things. Once you understand that aspect, you're going to get the leads, and from there, how you serve your customers, and make sure that you provide the best efforts to serve your customers. And once you did all that, worry about your money coming in and going in, later. But most importantly, you have a product, you have a service to serve the customer. That's more important.
Well, on that note, we're going to end segment 2 of our conversation with Uday. We'll come back after the break.
Sure.
Welcome to our last segment with Uday at the Ocio Show with Rahul. We are going to talk about Kerala. And for viewers, we're going to do this segment in Manglish, which is a combination of Malayalam. It's a language that I think you and I both speak, our mother tongue, and English. So viewer advice already provided. So you're from Kerala. I mean, we both are from Kerala. What do you like about that place?
Food.
Okay. So, well, we both. That's one thing I tell everybody. Do you think it's really the food, or is our gut bacteria? Because we're used to food from where we were born and raised.
Yeah, I mean, the food actually is kind of
Yeah.
I love biryani, right? For example,
okay.
And
the biryani, is it like Calicut biryani, or is it
Calicut biryani?
Talasheri biryani.
Talasheri biryani. I mean, any biryani. So basically, I tried biryani.
You like eating or you like making?
I both.
Both. Okay, yeah. So you're a decent cook.
I'm a very decent cook, and I actually love the food culture in Kerala. Not just me. I mean, I introduced.
And it's a very. I heard that it's the culinary culture is very mixed. So there's Arab cuisine mixed in.
Arabic cuisine.
There is this whole Christian, influence from back from the early Middle Ages. And then, of course, there's always the North Indian and other South Indian cuisines mixed into the Kerala cuisine. So it's a very mixed cuisine.
And the coconut oil.
Coconut oil, which apparently is very healthy. So your favorite Kerala dish?
I mean, I would say very good mean
other
curry.
Other than biryani.
Mean curry, which is...
Mean curry.
Yeah, it's a fish curry.
Which fish?
Any fish, for example, there's you get the fried and you get the curry sort of stuff. But sardine is
matti.
Matti.
Okay.
Matti curry is very...
Matti curry with what?
Matti curry with a simple chore and a tide and papadam.
Okay.
That is like one
We'll
of my
pull up Matikari Chor and
yeah
meals rice in
meals
the show
rice.
notes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that do you
So another thing about the Kerala is one thing I really love about, because I start a lot of reading the literature in Kerala, and especially some of these novels are very touching, and I don't we gave a lot of emphasis on other foreign literature, but Kerala has a heavy literature.
who's your favorite author?
I mean, I started reading like this novel is written in 1960. It's called Ini Njan Urangate.
Let me sleep finally.
Let me see. It's a narration of Mahabharata from a Draupadi point of view. You know the Mahabharata story, right? The epic story, but it talks about narration of Karna, the one of the character in Mahabharata. It's written by P.K. Balakrishnan. I just happened to get this books on my hand. I couldn't even stop reading it till I couldn't. That's such a touching book. And then because of that, I again read the Randamuram M.T. Vasudevan.
Randamuram is the Mahabharata from a point of view of Bhima.
So it's so rich. I enjoyed more now that looking at those. No, and then Madilugal from M.T. Mohammed Bashir.
So Vaikam. Was it Vaikam Mohammed Bashir?
It's just so lovely, this art and literature is.
And Madilugal was also made into a movie, and I think Mammootty won some awards for that movie, I believe.
Now, another book I have just ordered, the Easthalate Divyan, Pradhana Divyan.
Okay.
So it's like, that rich thought process existed in our literature. We never knew because Eninjan Orangate was an excellent example. How that emotions is carried. You just kind of feel when you read the novel, it's more than watching a movie.
So this is me growing up in Kerala. Went to a central federal school. We never learned Malayalam. I mean, we learned it at home. But of course, there are state schools where you learn all of this. And I feel like sometimes with the colonial empires and all that, English became a lingua franca of India. Everybody, which is a good thing. It helps Indians prosper in the world. But are we losing some of the, our kids and grandkids? Would they learn some of these languages with the same rigor we did and enjoy some of these literature and cultures?
Yeah, but I don't know, because for example, if you watch some of these Malayalam movies coming out, the quality of the Malayalam movies is
pretty good. Yeah.
Pretty big notch. I mean, it's like you compare. I mean, I don't watch any Hollywood movies anymore because of the rich story, rich content, rich acting.
And for people watching, Indian movies are not just Bollywood. There's so many other languages that they make movies in. And check out Malayalam movies if you have not.
You mentioned Aadu Jeevitham, right? I mean, it's wonderfully made. And the survival of one person. I mean, that's an example in your life, right? Given the situation.
I've heard that Malayalam movies are so good because the especially compared in India, you make a Bollywood movie, there's a captive audience of 500 million people, but in Kerala, the population is 30, if I'm not mistaken, around 35 million people. So you have to make movies that are appreciated by smaller variety.
Yep.
So you have to be creative. You can't have the same theme,
correct.
So they have to innovate on the storylines and the scripts. So sort of a necessity is the mother of invention for some of these movies. In some of the other languages, you just show, and people are also more, I would say, more pickier in terms of what they appreciate in these movies. So talking about movies, what's your favorite Malayalam, which is the language spoken in Kerala? What's a favorite Malayalam movie?
I mean, so many. I mean, I would say it's very difficult.
All-time favorite. You would say, okay.
So I like the movie called Thaniyavrathanam. I just watched it very recently. and
What's it about?
it's about a person's mindset going through, and it reminds me about my growing up a lot of times. And I have observed in my own family, one of my uncle went through the same experience, right? Whether he been told he is that, and eventually he become that. There are a lot of people telling you you are not good, you're not good, you're not good, and eventually you believe in yourself you're not good, right?
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes, self-fulfilling prophecy. And actually, so Taniyavartan is a very touching movie.
We'll put that in the show notes, the movie poster.
Yeah.
But,
and I really appreciated, one of those few actors I really appreciate in Malayalam is one is Tilakan, and another one is Mammootty and Mohanlal. Obviously, they're always there. But
who's your? I mean, this is gonna get controversial. Who's your favorite actor in Malayalam?
No, I mean, I would say the rich acting talent in Malayalam has astonished me. Even new kids coming into the movies, and they perform so well. And I mean, we didn't have an opportunity, but these are very good acting skills, right? I mean, you appreciate that.
You still have to pick one.
I mean, I would say did you watch the movie called Sudani
In Nigeria? Yeah, I think so. A while ago.
Yeah, it's about a football movie, and then this Sudani boy comes into Kerala to play the sevens for football. I mean, he called soccer, and he get injured, and he been taken care by this Malayali family, and it is very touching that way. And the actor Saubin, he's actually really did a very good job with that. I mean, there are a lot of great movies. I mean, this is all real stories. It's not like in something like extra human or something like that. This is like very touching stories, very close to your heart. And that is that that being put together in the screen with the real.
What's I mean, being Malayali. What do you think are cliches of being a Malayali, or like what's how do you know when you've met a Malayali?
Well,
they should like Mohanlal or Mammootty, one of the actors probably.
I mean, it's very difficult to say, right? For example, my it depends on all your attitude. I think we are a very good. We always have a good attitude, I would say, but yeah, it's.
That was a trick question. Yeah. So I would say, you lived in Kerala. You lived outside of Kerala. Was the life sort of different within India itself? What's the difference in, say, somebody you think living in Kerala versus maybe living up north, or just generally lifestyle and sort of the choices?
So first of all, when I was coming out of that small village boy setup, the one thing I was fear about, is that we should say this, how we should say that there is a lot of inhibitions in me, right? You kind of constrained yourself because you're put together in a different environment. So
you feel like fresh off the boat in some of these big cities.
You mixed into it, but then when you grow up, you have been told to behave in certain situations, certain way. And all of a sudden, you are kind of a little shy to talk to people. But I really like that humbleness part of our Keralites, right? I mean, that is one of the important aspects is, my parents always tells us, like, your beauty is your character. If your character is bad, it doesn't matter how you look. It doesn't. You have to be very inviting to the people. And that stick with me, and that makes sense to me, right? Because if you are rough or you don't have that kind of personality, then you cannot approach people. But the same token, you have to approach too, right? The fear, we are all have the fear, certain things when you grow up in that kind of situation. What to say, when to say, it doesn't comes fluently. And that is always that can be in between you. But when you open up and then you start going through life, you go through bad experience, good experience, then you kind of change your mode accordingly. But again, I would say that certain things you grown up with, or you've been, that never goes away from you, right? It is your basic ingredients of the structure. You always need to hold on to that, because when you lose it, then you don't have much anything, right?
So like you can take a man out of Kerala, but you can't take.
It's always
Kerala
the
out of
case.
the
I mean, it's it, or you want to be a different person. There's no need to be, because it is what.
What's your favorite Kerala story?
We always had when I was growing up, Vishu, right? Vishu is a festival where we put a lot of family got together, and we played with the firecrackers and things like that, and good food after that, and a lot of games. When I was growing up, we had my grandfather, my mother's father, there are 7 kids. So all the kids and grandkids came into one single house, and we celebrated that festival. And it's still kind of so new to me when I think about it. And I've been like, last festival, when I was in 6th grade, I was 12 years old, maybe. That was the last time I attended. I've been part of it. But that always kind of reminded me. And then obviously, when you go to Kerala, and when you have this small food, restaurant, and you do the paratha and beef.
Paratha and beef is amazing. In Kerala, for people who want to check it out, they should check it out.
Yeah. It's like those little things. And their teas come from this level.
They call it something. They call it, what do they call it?
Yeah, every time when I go
chai.
there, when I go to a tea stall and I have a tea, to have that. The same way, the tea comes from one. Yeah.
And that's adds to the flavor of the tea, with the guy dipping his finger inside.
Right,
the tea.
exactly. And it gives you with some kind of plantain fried, the parampuri. That's amazing. So.
We'll link Parampuri in the show notes.
Sure.
Well, on the note of Parampuri, we gotta end our last segment with Uday. Thank you, Uday, so much for coming in today.
Thank you for inviting.
All the best for your business ventures.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much.